Hi, this is Dave Bender, Vice President for Political Affairs for ACEC National. And we're coming to you live today with the Engineering Influence podcast here at the Grand Hyatt in Washington, D.C. at the Spring Convention, the annual Spring Convention for ACEC. My guest today is Rob Brigham. He is the CEO of JEO Engineering out of Omaha, Nebraska. Welcome.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It's great to having you here. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your firm, if you could, please.
Sure. So JEO, been around a long time, 1937, about 425 people, engineering, architecture, surveying, and planning. Offices in Nebraska, Iowa, and Kansas, and then a handful of remote employees as well. We tend to stay very close to the public arena, public infrastructure market, practicing in transportation, water infrastructure, water resources, geospatial and surveying, traffic and technology, construction services, environmental, architecture and landscape architecture, and planning and engagement. I think I got them all.
Wow, I think
don't want to leave anybody out.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, so it's just a lot of fun. As far as me personally, it's the only full-time job I've had. I've been really blessed to be part of it for the last 30-ish years full-time, and actually started my career at JEO right out of high school. I was fortunate enough to live right across the street from who I like to call the silent B in JEO. Eventually became the chairman of our board of directors and just asked me if I needed a summer job. So I worked out on a survey crew. A little bit non-traditional. I'm not an engineer. I've got a finance degree, and then I went on to law school and then had the opportunity to come back to JEO after I graduated from law school in a business manager role, eventually CFO, and then for the last 18 years now, the CEO.
Oh, that's terrific. You know, I had the pleasure of meeting one of your partners there in the firm just minutes ago. Yep. And he said he's been with the firm for 37 years, and the growth has just been unbelievable. Tell us a little bit about the growth before we dive into the topic we're going to discuss.
So I had the honor of taking over as CEO in 2007, right as we were going into the great financial crisis. So that was a treat. We didn't grow, but we didn't shrink for about 4 or 5 years there. And then about 2013 is when it really started to take off for us. And it seemed like the ducks were really getting in a row. And then even more so, probably 2018 to where we are today. We've just seen really substantial growth. I think we just looked at this the other day, and our average tenure of our people, or the midpoint of our tenure of the 425 people is about 5 years. So we've added a lot over the last 5 years, and just see a lot of bright things coming for us in the future as well.
Well, that's great, and thank you for your leadership in your firm, obviously, but also in the industry. And I know the Nebraskans think the world of JEO and your team there, and especially your leadership. So that's really great. One thing I wanted to talk about, it really impressed me about you when I found out that you, at the last presidential election, as well as some of the local elections for Congress and U.S. senators, you had both U.S. senators up in your state last year, which is kind of rare and unique. But you also have it was the blue dot, where Kamala Harris invested about $30 million in there. And that was really kind of difficult for Congressman Don Bacon, who was running, and that blue dot was represented not only his district, but that one presidential elector that the election could have gone down to that. It ended up not going that way. But that was a lot of really hard work for Don Bacon and a lot of catch up that he had to do, and he ended up winning a lot. But it impressed me that you and some of your firm leaders and some of your friends decided, hey, we need to get behind some of these people. Could you tell us a little bit about why you supported that, Congressman Bacon and your U.S. senators?
We've always been very active in coming out here and being part of the national conference. We've been very active in getting up to Capitol Hill, and I think we've always seen the significance of the issues that we're up there advocating for. Honestly, it really hit me probably about a year ago, a little over a year ago, when we were out here for the Nebraska Fly-In. And we had it at the ACEC residence, which was just absolutely fantastic.
Thank you.
And in the context of the conversation about issues that were important to us, to our industry, there was a couple of one in particular, an issue that came up in regards to one of our employees. And I just happened to mention it. And Congressman Flood actually said, well, I think we can help you with that. And I kind of took a second and said, okay. And long story short, he got us connected with somebody in his office, and I got our employee connected. And what had been taking weeks, if not months, for our employee to work through all of a sudden was resolved. Of course, a little light bulb went off, and I said, well, we've got another issue that we've been working on as a firm. And he was able to resolve that as well. and it really just started to connect for me how important it is to have a relationship with the folks that are in our state, elected officials from our state, and just really made a positive difference to us. In addition to the bigger issues that, of course, they have the opportunity to influence from an overall industry standpoint. And then just understanding the significance of the last election and understanding the significance of those elected officials in Nebraska, and specifically where they aligned on issues, again, that are important to our industry, whether that's workforce development or tax policy or infrastructure funding. It's like, we need to get a little more involved here. And
right.
So that's what we did. We all stepped up to the table, and I think it's been good for JEO and hopefully a little positive mark for the industry as well.
Well, it's made a difference when these members of Congress that I've gotten to know out there, especially those three, when they mentioned you specifically and what you did for them, they were a little bit surprised, but yet they were very grateful of that. And that led to more conversations as to, okay, tell us a little bit more about what it is that's important to you as far as issues. It was really neat. So, as you know, we have launched a new ACEC Direct campaign, which is the ACEC Leadership Circle. It is tell us a little bit about what that is in your beliefs and how it benefits you as a member and the other members out in ACEC world.
So the tool itself, quite frankly, is really easy for me. You send me a link and I hit it, and it goes right to the individual that we're wanting to make a contribution to. The Leadership Circle itself, the couple of meetings that I've been involved in so far, I just think it's a remarkable opportunity to get away from the hustle and bustle of the daily schedule that I know each one of them have to maintain, meeting after meeting after meeting, hearing after hearing. But when we're able to get them away, and each one of these was held in a restaurant, it was a small group. Certainly members from the ACEC National were there and able to kind of keep the conversation focused. But yet at the same time, each of us that were there representing one of our firms had the opportunity to really engage with, first of all, Congressman Smith, the chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, and then Representative Neal, Congressman Neal, who is the ranking member of the same committee. And I just felt like they were really engaged in asking us questions about how different things impacted our firm, and we were able to share that. And to do that again over an hour and a half to 2 hours and not feel like you were rushed, and to really be able to expand upon the importance of these things, again, whether that's workforce development or tax or infrastructure funding, was just really good. And I'll use Congressman Neal as an example, to hear his story, starting out as a teacher and then a council member and then a mayor and then Congress. It was just super enlightening.
He's an impressive individual. Yeah.
Super impressive individual. And just a very enjoyable evening, honestly.
So that leads me into another question, and I'm glad you brought it up. People would say, well, why would a gentleman from Omaha, Nebraska, why would he care what's going on with a gentleman in the rural area of Missouri, or even in the state of Massachusetts, in Boston, Massachusetts, with Ranking Member Neal? Why might you want to give to a candidate as not your representative, or frankly, is not even in your state? So maybe kind of expand on that a little bit. R's and D's and state boundaries don't define the issues that we're talking about, whether that's funding for water or transportation or whatever it is that we're doing from an infrastructure standpoint. Workforce development issues, immigration issues, and certainly tax policy, which has been top of mind for us because this whole R&D thing has had a big impact on our firm. But those know no boundaries; they don't know political affiliation. So I think the opportunity that we have to engage with these folks, regardless of where they're from. And then also recognizing the power of the committees is very, the committee structure throughout Congress is very powerful. The opportunity to engage with those folks at that level, I think really makes a difference. Well, that's great to hear. The next question I have for you is somewhat a little bit shifting just a little bit here. We're constantly here at ACC trying to introduce ourselves more and get more engaged with younger people and have the younger generations, the younger engineers, the ones that have been there 5 years or less. They're really passionate about engineering. We're trying to get them engaged, on just a variety of levels, but especially from the political side of things. What might you say to a younger engineer as to why he or she should get involved in, basically what you're doing now? Maybe not quite on that level yet, but why would they get involved?
Honestly, I wish I would have started a lot sooner. I think my ramp up here more recently would have been an easier climb. But I think it's all about starting good habits young and having that conversation with them. When you're young and you're just starting out, and again, I didn't grow up on the engineering side.
Yeah.
But watching what happens, I think not only in our firm, but across the industry, there's sort of this magic that happens and projects just appear. They don't understand all of the things that are going on behind the scenes to make sure that funding is in place and the rest of the things that are important to the firm. I keep coming up with these same three topics, but they really are important when you're talking about infrastructure funding and workforce development and all of that. So again, creating good habits at an early age, and as you said, it doesn't have to be at the level that some of us are participating right now, but if it's $50, $100, couple $100, even if that's just an annual contribution, it's a good way to start.
It is a good way to start. That is perfect. Now, in the leadership circle, we were asking for people to make a pledge of a minimum of $10,000. And that $10,000 or higher would be kind of serve as on-call money.
Sure.
So that when we do have an issue pop up in Washington, D.C., that we do want to get in front of these really key people, just to sit down in a controlled environment, in a friendly environment, and chat with them about, here's our issue. Let's break down our issue a little bit more for these members of Congress so that they can help them kind of decide when they're making their decisions on their policy or their strategy moving forward. The leadership circle is obviously $10,000 that we're asking for people. That's a big ask to ask for people for that money. But what would be your vision for the leadership circle to try to attract members to come in? Why should they come in? Why should they participate? And where do you see this? Because it's off to a pretty good start right now. Where do you see this program in 5 or 10 years?
Sure. So like so many things that I talk about, I'm guessing in 5 or 10 years it'll look like an overnight success. But I know this is something that you and others have had a dream of doing for a number of years.
Yes.
And I think we're starting to see the fruits of that labor, which we're certainly appreciative for, those of us that are just jumping on here more recently. I think the power of the ACEC PAC, it's a little bit mind-blowing, honestly, when you learn more about that, how that is viewed across members of Congress, how powerful that is in comparison to all the others. I don't remember the exact stat, but I remember it's way up there in terms of being one of the bigger PACs out here in D.C. And I think when we can add this other layer to it and continue to strengthen that voice and that power of our organization by doing the direct giving, the sky's the limit. And if it's opening the doors to have these conversations, as you said, in a more relaxed environment, away from the grind, and really help them understand the impact, not only in our industry, but a lot of these things, the research and development tax credits, for example, or the requirement that we amortize the expenses, isn't just important to our industry, it's important to lots of industries.
Yeah.
But if we can give them that perspective of how it's impacting a firm on Main Street in Nebraska, I think that's a good thing. So I hope we can continue to strengthen that voice through the use of the directed giving.
And I know one of the things that you've embraced and liked about the program is that it's both Democrats and Republicans.
Absolutely.
So whoever supports us, we support them.
Absolutely.
And if we can strengthen our relationship with these people that are our champions, it's a win-win. So it's not just one political party, it's both political parties. We're even going to go to the speaker. We have a commitment to get Speaker Johnson to come in and do it. So it's a little higher price tag to do that. But it should be really nice. And then we'll obviously do his Democratic counterpart, Mr. Hakeem Jeffries, to do that as well. Those will be big dollar numbers, of events to do, but it's very important that we get in front of them and again in that environment like that.
A very worthy investment.
We really appreciate you coming on today. We appreciate your leadership. You've dove right in. I really appreciate that very, very much. And the political program is stronger because of members like you, Rob. So we appreciate you coming to us today and supporting this system. And thank you very much.
Well, we appreciate your leadership as well. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share with you.
You bet. So that is it today for this. Please, if you have more information and you want to participate a little bit, $10,000 is a little bit of an ask, but it's a great investment. You heard from one of the experts here that really feels the benefit of this program. Please get in touch with me, Dave Bender, at ACEC. Thank you for watching, everybody, and have a good day.